Ooh, yeah. It's Auntie Mickey's house. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie's house. You're in the house. You know you're in the house. Come on in and grab a seat, grab a seat. Come on in and hit that light, hit that light. Oh, you're Aunt Mickey's house. Auntie Mickey's house. Grab a seat, prop your feet. Let's sip some tea, sip that tea. Entertainment, news, and spirituality. From the culture to the fun, Auntie sets the tone. Sets the tone. With a laugh and a truth, she holds the throne. She holds the throne, yeah. Auntie Mickey's house. Come on in now. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie's house. You're in the house. You know you're in the house. Come on in and grab a seat, yeah, yeah. Come on in and hit that like, don't forget now. Auntie Mickey's house. She can roast with a smile, drop wisdom too. Break down the headlines, bring it straight to you. Straight to you, baby. Community strong, conversation grown. Grown talk, baby. Auntie Mickey's house, make yourself at home, yeah. Come together, every voice is heard. Every voice, respect the vibe, let's share the word. Oh, yeah. From the jokes to the prayers, she keeps it real. Keeps it real. Auntie Mickey's house, that's the deal. That's the deal, baby. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie's house. Oh yeah. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie's house. Known in the house. You know you're in the house. Come on in and grab a seat. Grab a seat. Come on in and hit the light. Hit the light. Hit the light. You're at Auntie Mickey's. Yeah, yeah. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie Mickey's. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie Mickey's house. It's Auntie Mickey's house. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie's house. You're in her house. You know you're in her house. Come on in and grab a seat. Grab a seat, come on in and hit that light. Hit that light. Oh, you're at Auntie Mickey's. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Auntie's house. Auntie's house. Auntie's house. Grab a seat, drop your feet, let's sip some tea. Sip that tea. Entertainment, news, and spirituality. From the culture to the fun, Auntie sets the tone. Sets the tone. With a laugh and a truth, she holds the throne. She holds the throne. Yeah. Auntie's house. Oh, Auntie's house. You know you're in her house. Come on in and grab a seat. Grab a seat, yeah. Come on in and hit that light. Hit that light. Don't forget. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie Mickey's house. Oh yeah, yeah. She can roast with a smile. Drop wisdom too. Wisdom too. Break down the headlines. Bring it straight to you. Straight to you, baby. Community strong. Conversation grown. Don't talk, baby. Auntie Mickey's house. Make yourself at home, yeah. Come together, every voice is heard. Every voice. Respect the vibe, let's share the word, oh yeah. From the jokes to the prayers, she keeps it real. Keeps it real, keeps it real. That's the deal, that's the deal, baby. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie's house, oh yeah. hit the light on your way to Auntie Mickey's. Yeah. Auntie Mickey's house, Auntie Mickey's house, Auntie Mickey's house. Ooh.
Hey everybody, how you doing? How you doing? Happy whatever day this is. I done lost track of time. What is this? Tuesday, Wednesday? Shit. I done lost track of time of what day it is, but I know every day above ground is a good day. That's what I'm sticking to. That's exactly what I'm sticking to. So welcome to the house. Take off your shoes. I hope the feet don't stink. I'm sure they don't. Hello, Miss Purple. Hello, Satin. There's my adventurous you. How are you, sweetheart? And once, of course, my baby's in the house. Hello, baby. Boo-boo. My good thing. How you doing, sweetheart? Welcome to another day of what the hell? Another day of what the hell. Yes, we're going to talk about the Nolan Wells case, specifically the hit list. The hit list is out. So for those of you who don't know, there is a hit list for people that meaning the families of the young men that are tied to this issue about Nolan, which let's remind ourselves. The bottom line is this is about Nolan. This is about Nolan. What happened to Nolan? This is turned into a circus. And it ain't because of content creators turning it into a circus. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. The if factor, the if factor comes into play right here. Okay. First of all, let me just say, this is my own opinion. This ain't nobody else's. I can't speak for other people. Okay. It's just my own opinion. But it just seems like our future is being targeted as a people. That's what it seems like. I'm not saying that these boys, men, whatever you want to call them, are the ones targeting. However, it appears to be y'all's turn because you guys put yourself out there in the public eye. Let's be clear about that. Y'all put yourself out there and now you want to be the victims. I'm sorry, it don't play like that. That might work in Mississippi, but it don't play around the rest of the country. Y'all went on Brandon Tatum's podcast and did a whole interview. And prior to that, your movements, when all this shit came down, were suspect in the eyes of the public. That is not to accuse you of doing anything, but what it does is it causes a negative light to be shown on you as the individuals that were the last ones to supposedly see him alive. And based on the stories that keep changing, by the way, the stories that keep changing makes you look further suspect. Now, nobody's accusing you, at least I'm not, accusing you of doing anything to make him unalived. Let's be clear, your movements make it look like you know something. And let's be also clear, if the tables were turned, because the first thing that folks want to say is, this isn't a racial issue. Why are you making it such a racial issue? Because number one, it's Mississippi. Number two, the history of Mississippi is completely racial in terms of the activities that have taken over in that place for decades. Now, I'm sorry you little 19, 20-year-olds may not have been around at that time, but let's be clear. Your people were. Now, I don't know how you were raised. Maybe you were shielded from that part of your history because, yes, it is your history as well. Stand claim to it. It may be ugly, but yes, it is part of your history. Hello, happy life. How you doing, sugar? But again, this is not what my live is today. That's not what this live is about. The live is about this hit list and the people that are on it. I'm not going to go into any details about the specific individuals, but it's the narrative that's being painted out there. The narrative that's being painted out there by those individuals is that they are the victims. But they're alive and well and breathing and able to claim themselves as the victim when the real victim is dead and gone. His parents are alive and still wanting answers as to what happened to their child. But y'all done made this about you. Y'all done made this all about you. And mainstream media, we're not going to say mainstream. We're not going to blame this on mainstream media either. People have plain and common sense. They can decipher what they see with their own eyes and common sense. And you know what they say, if it looked like a duck, you know the rest. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you the duck we talking about. But again, we gonna be clear. Something happened to Nolan. And the movements ever since that night look suspect. Your movements added to the suspicious behavior. Your suspicious behavior. See, a whole bunch of people can't just come to the conclusion unless it exists in the first place. So, getting to the subject, to this hit list. Two more people have come out to be interviewed by you know who. Brandon Tatum. That's what I'm gonna call him. That's his name. That's the name his mama gave him. He got a whole lot of other names as well. And we know who we talking about. But two more people have come out, these so-called friends, that were actually in those pictures. Okay. They've come out of the shadows along with an attorney. This attorney, ironically, used to be a Trump attorney. Okay, and that speaks for itself as well. So they appeared in this interview on Brandon Tatum's show. And, gave their take on things. I thought it was, okay, you blowing smoke up our ass as well. But I'm not going to call him Officer Tatum. Let me make that clear. I'm not calling him Officer Tatum because you used to be an officer. You are no longer an officer, sir. So you are just Brandon to me. I won't even call you Mr. I call you Officer Oreo, if anything. So apparently this interview that just dropped yesterday, I haven't gotten a chance to really watch it in its entirety. I've seen bits and pieces. I've seen other content creators take on it. And what I chose to do today was to play this video as a family. I want us to watch this together as a family. Some have already seen it. Some haven't. Some have also seen bits and pieces just like me. I want us to sit together and watch this as a family. Okay? But first, before I go on, let me play something for you. I love this young lady, by the way. I love this young lady. She has done so much to bring light to this situation. Now, I hope and pray that this plays because, TikTok videos don't go well on my platform. Okay, just give me a second. Hello, Tracy. Hello, Maureen. Thank God. Welcome. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, I'm geriatric, so just give me a minute to get this set up properly. And I'm going to turn this music down as usual because it gets in the way. Okay, so now I'm just going to play this little video here. Nerdy Pink Panda on TikTok. She has definitely done a deep dive since this whole thing has popped off. Hello, Dawn. How's it going, sweetheart? Oh, by the way, Dawn and Tracy, you guys are moderators. If people start coming in here acting stupid, you have my permission to pull the trigger. Pull the trigger. Okay? So, without further ado, let me play this for you. It's just a short thing. Hold on. Here we go. Oops. No sound? Put a 1 in the chat if there's no sound. Damn it, I can't stand this TikTok in StreamYard. Put a 1 in the chat if you hear no sound. Okay, so we're going to eliminate this one. I'll have to do this later. I don't understand why this happens every time when I've enabled audio. Oh, okay, Satin, I got you. Yeah, you too. Okay, so we gonna bypass Nerdy Pink Panther because she did make some very valid points. Okay. Dang, that really upsets me because my TikTok never works properly. Let me try again. I'm going to try one more time. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. And let me see if I can share again. Share my screen. Also share tab audio. Oh, okay. Well, there was the problem. Okay. Okay. We're going to try this again. Let me see if I can start it over.
My bad, folks. I've got to re-upload the video because I accidentally left something in it, so I had to re-edit it. But here we go. Let's try it again. This was the most bizarre good old boy cosplay I have ever seen in my life.
Okay, put a 1 in the chat if you can hear now. Were you guys able to hear her? It was just a click of one button, I think might have been the problem. You can hear now. So 1 in the chat means yes, you can hear. Good. Woo! Thank you. Thank you, Scion Jones. Welcome, sweetheart. Okay, here we go.
Keep in mind that that Trump lawyer that they hired is from New York. And I have never seen a lawyer sit down with their clients and do an interview with them in the least professional attire I have ever seen, while also advertising another law firm on their hat. We all saw how weird this interview was, right? It was like a prison warden keeping checks on them. And not only was he doing the weird baseball signals throughout the interview, not only was he in the most defensive position out of anybody in this group, after I watched this interview, he kind of proved me right in that I think he's a bad lawyer who's using bullying tactics behind the scene, and that's what he's good at. Because did anybody else pick up on this?
About Morgan, Jax, and Warren, I'm not going to call them untruths or half-truths or falsehoods. I'm going to call it what it is, lies. Morgan, Warren, and Jax left the island at about 4:30 p.m. That's it.
Did anybody else pick up on that? That over and over again, he was specifically saying Morgan, Jax, and Warren, blah, blah, blah. They didn't do anything. They left the island at 4:30. If you're telling lies about them, you're in trouble. He's intentionally and purposely omitting everybody else that was on the boat, everybody else that was in the group that day. And that right there is very telling to me.
Very, 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 very telling. Very telling. And yeah, he is dressed up like them, like, okay, dude, really? Wow, okay, here we go.
Now, I personally do not see the logic in the lawyer advising these boys to do another interview, unless it's to try and threaten and intimidate the people that they're gonna go after for defamation. Because they keep saying this over and over again. We're gonna sue for defamation. We're gonna bring these people in and we're gonna sue them. And at one point, the lawyer even says this.
Morgan, if you lied about Jax, if you lied about Warren, we're gonna get you. And you're gonna be hauled into court. You're gonna be held accountable. And it's gonna be very painful.
Clearly, he don't understand the definition of lying. An opinion is not necessarily a lie. So, first of all, they have to be able to show intent. Did one intend to lie, or did they give their opinion? That's the first hurdle they're gonna have to cover. But yes, this is all intimidation. This is all intimidation. And this seems to be what works for them. So, but they've never been in this particular situation before. So, hey, trial and error. Some things don't always work the way you think it will.
And what I would say to the people who have done that is, now's your chance. If you want to apologize and retract before you find yourself in court, you should probably do that now. Because if you don't do that, once you're in court, now you just can't leave. You won't be able to get out of it.
So, what if somebody turned around and sued them for defamation based on those intimidating words? What if somebody, I'm just saying, what if somebody really knows what happened and they get out on a public platform and say those things to keep people shut and keep their mouths shut? Can they also be sued? I'm wondering. Because you know what's good for the goose. Hey, if you a gander, be careful.
And we're not going to name names because there's some other folks who are doing that, and we want to be better than that. And I want to emphasize this, right? We're not here to guess. We're not here to speculate. We're only going to deal in facts, right? And here's the most important thing, right? We don't know how Nolan Wells died. No one here is saying we know. But what we do know is Morgan, Jax, and Warren had nothing whatsoever to do with Nolan Wells' death.
Once again, being overly specific and giving away the game. Oh, if you lie about Morgan and Jax and Warren, we're going to haul you into court. We don't know anything, but Morgan, Jax, and Warren are innocent. But I thought he drowned. Aren't they all innocent? Isn't it all just a terrible accident? Notice how not once has anybody in any of these interviews said that this was just a tragic accident. And mind you, if they were actually being defamed, those letters would have been sent out. They wouldn't go and give an interview warning people, you better retract it or then we're going to come for you. As someone who has had several cease and desist letters sent to them, they don't warn you because cease and desist letters in themselves don't matter. They aren't anything. They are the warning. What was that weird fucking laugh they all had together?
Once you're in court, now you just can't leave. You won't be able to get out of it.
That was the mask slipping. That was them showing us who they really are. I've got a ton more I want to say about this interview so far, but I think it's important that we need to keep the pressure on, because look at Warren is crumbling. He's literally wearing the same shirt that he wore in the last interview when they went to the island, and just look at the difference.
Okay, I wanted to point something out as well, because I did see bits and pieces of this interview. Is it me, or does Warren look like he's lost some weight in comparison to his last interview? He looks different. He looks like he hasn't been eating or sleep. I don't know. But that was the first take I got when I saw him specifically in this interview. He's really lost some weight. Put a 1 in the chat if you picked up on that. You know, because things can eat away at you. I'm not saying guilt or innocence. I'm not saying that. But I don't know if it was a good idea for them to come out. Exactly. Exactly, Tracy. Death threats messes with your appetite. You know what, Herbert? You're probably right. But they have yet to even show those receipts. If you're receiving death threats, can you show them? You know, I mean, this is more than one thing can be true at the same time. I'm just saying what I'm saying.
Personally, I think it's important that if we are going to be giving Officer Tatum the views on these videos, that we need to be expressing our opinions in the comment section, not fighting with people. And I can't help but wonder why Warren's brother was left out of all of those proclamations. Just something to think about. My bad, folks. I've got to re-upload the video because I accidentally left something in it, so I had to re-edit it. But here we go.
Okay, that was the beginning of the video again, so let me tap that one out. But yeah, it was just an observation that I had. The first thing I saw was Warren doesn't look well, you know, and the other two that were in the initial interview were not in this one, okay? Herbert says they can't if it's an ongoing investigation. They can't what? I'm sorry, I missed your first point. Death threats. They can't show the death threats that they've received? Is that what you're saying? So we're supposed to take their word for it? I'm just curious if that's what you mean, Herbert. Because I'm not here to argue with you. I just want clarity. Okay, so because it's an ongoing investigation, they cannot show threats against them, but they can get on a panel and publicly talk about it and proclaim that they've received death threats. Okay. Okie dokie. Well, with all that said, anyway, judging from, recent talk about them, they're apparently planning on suing content creators that are discussing the Nolan Wells case online. And in my opinion, they're basically trying to intimidate people from combing through this case and pointing out discrepancies in their story, as well as their immediate suspicious behavior, from the very onset of this case. So this list has come out with the names of 92 content creators, okay, that they have targeted to sue for defamation. But before we dive into that list, we may not even have to dive into it. Before we, start going on, let me share something else with you. Hold on just a second. I should have this stuff set up in advance. You're absolutely right, Herbert. Making speculations won't help anyone. So, hey, what's good for the goose? If you can If you can identify it, you can edify it. That's all I'll say on that one. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Hold on just a second. This is my beautiful sister from Court of Public Opinion. Let me play this for you.
So let's talk about this content creator defamation hit list that the clear people, the usual suspects, have created in order to come after content creators who are amplifying what Mississippi is not doing in the Nolan Wells investigation. First and foremost, they can't do a fuck thing right now, and they know it. But see, what they like to do, what the clear people like to do is nook, and they missing a whole fucking buck. And the buck that they're missing is they have no legal grounds, as it stands right now, to do a fuck thing to anyone. The laws are very clear for defamation. In order to start a defamation claim, the investigation for Nolan Wells will have to be completed. There have to be a finding where there is an actual suspect that is arrested, or the civil suit likelihood has to be on up the road. You know, all of these other legal situations has to take place first. Because see, when there's an active investigation and your clear clients took their clear ass on that Negro House podcast and made inconsistent statements, along with an actual judge who made inconsistent statements, and your clear client made admissions to drinking underage, and there are several pictures of your clients with alcohol in their hands, yeah, sit your ass down. Okay? The first thing that these clear usual suspects, meaning these mediocre white lawyers, will have to do is wait till the fucking investigation to conclude. And then, based on what the investigation concludes, y'all would have to send them a cease and desist first. A legitimate, not premature one that y'all sent to Kim. A legitimate cease and desist. You can't skip that fucking step. And after, if it's legitimate, which is probably not, because y'all are not legitimate in anything that y'all do in life. Y'all like to lie about everything. Then you open your ass up for discovery. And you know what discovery does? Admissions, interrogatories, documents, depositions. Yeah, see, they like to play in y'all face and be like, oh, yeah, we're going to do this. Well, do it. And let's see how your client survives. So they're going to ask for them cameras in discovery. That phone, it comes in discovery. Everything comes in fucking discovery. So nuck, if you buck, since y'all like to follow the advice of a woman who stayed with a man who was molesting their child in their home, see how far that gets you. So let's talk about this.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Anne or Anna, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, so please forgive me if I pronounced your name incorrectly. Said rude, bad language isn't going to change anything. Pray. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree with that. But, you know, people are passionate about this thing out there, and some people express themselves differently, but the passion is still the same. So, but yeah, bad language isn't going to change anything. I agree. And Tracy, I am not sure who she was referring to. Tracy Shorter says, who was molesting whom? Don't get me to lying. I don't know where that was about. I don't know who or what that was about. Okay. Sat and said, oh my. That's what I said when I first heard that. I'm like, what? Okay. Well, that in itself doesn't make or break this case. But I see what her point is about, you know, discovery and how that can open a can of embarrassing worms on both sides as well. Hello, Mr. Phillips. How are you? I'm glad to see my moderators in here. Very glad to see you. So, moving on. So basically what has happened here is that a lot of chaos has been created. And I would have to say a lot of it is because of the movements of these young men who they selected to interview them publicly. Hold on just a second. George says people are assuming they never actually show a picture of Nolan on the island. Can you clarify that statement, sir? People are assuming they never actually show a picture of Nolan on the island. They're assuming that they were on the island or they weren't on the island. I don't know what that means. But thank you. Thank you for your input. I appreciate it. Where was I? The chaos that's been displayed here, through this case. What I think is that they, and again, this is my opinion. I think that they tried to get ahead of a story, but they didn't do it because they're not experienced in dealing with this kind of situation. First off, let's remember that these are young men, and I think that they're getting some bad, I won't say information, bad advice. Even though Warren's mother, or stepmother, I'm sorry, is a judge. Again, it's hard to say where their headspace is at because we don't live in that environment. When you are in a protected environment or protected status, if you live in an elite category, okay, you got all this money to live a comfortable life. You see, it just doesn't dawn on you how to react to a situation such as this. So I'm going to give them that. Okay. George said they showed a picture of a person with his back turned and never showed a picture of Nolan leaving. Okay. Well, that's just it. We don't have pictures of everything, but I'm sure somebody has some information on that island. And I mean, honestly, if it's not the boys, it's somebody else, but somebody has to know something. I'm sure that everyone has already acknowledged the fact that if those parts of his body hadn't been withheld from the second autopsy would have come up with the cause of death pretty much right away. Thank you, Kristen, for the 10 jewels. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much. So again, it's just a matter of, I think that part of the problem in this situation is that we're dealing with some young men who have never been on this side of the coin, so to speak. And they don't have the experience of defense. So they're relying on parents or other people of clearly, upper echelon in that area, whatever the case may be. And again, that's just my own opinion. Okay. But let's just say this. If he was left behind on that island, let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay. If he was in fact left behind on that island and you say you were his friends, he was your best friend, would you honestly leave your best friend behind without his phone? We're not talking about the keys because the keys were not on the boat. His phone was on the boat. And we all know that this island has nothing on it that would give him the ability to communicate with anybody. Would you really leave your friend behind without his phone? If nothing else, if you didn't know he had his phone and you found out later that he doesn't have his phone, wouldn't you go back with the phone? Here, buddy, here's your phone. But me personally, and this is again my own opinion, a good friend ain't gonna leave you in that type of environment by yourself. I don't care nothing about I'll catch a ride with someone else. Your friend would make sure they know who that person is that they're going to catch a ride with. See, all that other information is so vague. It's just like saying, oh, well, they said they were going to catch the bus home. And I know there's no bus on the island. I'm just using that as an example. Okay. But all those cameras and all the ability to use the surveillance in that area, and none of that has been done to our knowledge. I think that everything that started, or everything that has happened thus far, stems from the lack of, let me find the right words, the lack of professionalism on the part of the sheriff by coming out saying that, oh, nothing to see here. This wasn't foul play. Yada 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 yada. Okay, there's nothing to see here. Okay, that in itself was very irresponsible police work. So boom with that one. Number two, their behavior from the jump. If we go all the way back to the beginning, their behavior was very defensive behavior. Hold on just a second. George, I want to get some of these comments. George, the hurts. George? Okay. George, I'm just going to call you George. Whose boat did Nolan get on to go to the island if his car and keys at somebody's house? I believe they, and I might be wrong, I believe they were left at, not Warren's house, but one of the other guys had the keys and the car was parked at his house. So the keys and car were not at Warren's house. Warren's the one that had the phone. Okay. Let's see. Satin said, oh yes, cameras everywhere. Drawbridges, restaurant, homes on the lake, cameras everywhere. Yes. And again, maybe Wyatt. Thank you, Tracy. Wyatt. All these W's. It ain't hard to keep up with the W's. But what was I gonna say? I've lost my train of thought. But they very well may have looked at all those cameras, and they're holding this information close to their chest. I can understand how that could happen. But again, we're talking about how this started out in the first place. Looked very suspicious. It just looked very suspicious. And the reaction from law enforcement made it look further suspicious. That's why we are where we are today. And the fact that these young men have doubled down and come out and done a whole interview, okay, with you know who, Tap Dancing Tatum. He's come out and done an interview and then done another interview, and now we're doing another interview. In this particular instance, I think that at this point in time, they should just lay low. That would be my advice to them. Just lay low and let the process take its course. Just like they want the public to do, I think that they should also do the same. Because the more that they do, the more that they bring on themselves. Okay? Now, that's just my own personal opinion. Okay? Hold on just a second. And then they go back to the island. See, this is the crazy stuff. Okay? It almost seems like desperate moves are now being taken. Okay? It seems like desperate moves are being taken. And these moves are designed to cause doubt. Okay? When desperation begins to raise its head, the winds and all that, when they haven't been on the defensive side of the law before, they don't know how to react. This is where the throw the rock, hide your hand syndrome comes in. And, that's what's prevalent to the public at this particular time. Some games, you just have no prizes, So even if it seems that you've prevailed on the surface by using your intimidation of your local community or your stance financially, it doesn't pay your spiritual bill. You still have to face that mirror. You still have to look in that mirror. Hence why I keep looking at Warren and like something is Not the same with Warren. Michelle said, they did not leave Nolan. My belief from the beginning, Nolan was unalived on the boat. They took him with them, went back later and dumped him on the beach face down. And that's the moral of the story. And that is a clear and concise description of what kind of picture has been painted. You are within every right to believe this. Okay. Now, that's a belief. That's not an accusation. You see what I'm saying? See, they seem to think that they can sue people for defamation, including people in the comments, by the way. You can't bring a case like this to the forefront and think that people are not going to have their own perception. Just because it doesn't fall in line with what you're trying to paint. It's like, okay, be careful what you put out there. You got to be careful what you put out there, because what comes back to you may not be in your favor. And you can't turn around and threaten to sue people. Well, you can, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win. Okay? Because what that does is it opens up a can of worms on their side as well. Cans of worms, I don't know if they want out there or not. You see what I'm saying? Hello, Serene. How are you, sweetheart? Good to see you. So yeah, that trip back to Horn Island was kind of weird to me as well. Okay, Warren and Jax went out there and they started shedding tears like a month later with their attorney. They go out there with their attorney. I'm gonna say it again, with their attorney, to the place that they last claimed to have seen their friend. Okay. That's where they claim to have last seen their friend. And this time, as opposed to last time, tears were shed. Now, again, people show emotion in different ways. Okay? It's just strange. If this is your bestie, FBI, okay, Mr. Phillips said FBI might be at your door. Be careful, people. Yeah. People in the comments lines, or comment sections, they're going after everybody. So please be mindful. You can have an idea, but it's a thin line when you accuse somebody of something and just give an opinion of what might have been or what it looks like. Okay? That's the only thing I'm saying. You know. But yeah, I just thought it was very performative. That's the impression that I got, that it was very performative. You know, because again, they complain about the spotlight, but then they turn around and put themselves right there in the spotlight that you claim to hate. But all, in my opinion, to try and manipulate the narrative. This is a very common technique that people do to manipulate narratives. Okay? But one thing is for sure, okay? Despite the public strategy with the lawyers at your side, you will never silence the public. Never. You can't sue everybody. Okay? You can't. You don't have it like that. You don't have it going on like that. Satin says, I couldn't believe Tatum's first interview with Warren. So fresh and so knew he was back there where his bestie was found during an interview. No emotion, no nothing. That told me a lot about him. Yeah, it does. I mean, it causes you to say, wow, he wasn't my perception was he's not as important to you as you claim. It doesn't appear that he's as important to you as you say he was. You know what I'm saying? Because I looked at the same thing. How he because words are important. Okay, some people, they examine body language. Some people observe words. Some people just sit back and watch everything. And the thing that caught me the most was the words, how he himself referred to Nolan as Nolan, but everyone else was my buddy, me and my buddy, and then my buddy this and my buddy that. He didn't refer to Nolan with that same type of reverence. Okay, that's what stood out to me. It gave me vibes as though Nolan was like the tag along, how they referred to him. Yeah, we always picked up Nolan. We always went by and picked him up. Nolan had a car too. I mean, if you guys are friends, all of you guys are friends equally, why do you guys have to run by and pick him up all the time? Shouldn't he have turns to pick up everybody as well? I mean, friendship goes more than one way. Just like he said, we never went to Nolan's house. We never hung out at Nolan's house. Why did you say that? Those are the things that I looked at. They telling said, Tatum is a paid actor for Mega by the Koch brothers, and one of the men accused is a family member partner to the Koch brothers. Tatum is a paid houseman. I heard that as well, yes. Tatum used to be the director of urban outreach for Turning Point. Am I correct in that? Let's see. MRINC. Mr. Ink. I'm assuming that's your name. Mr. Ink. If I'm saying it wrong, let me know, okay? Exactly. A paid actor. How the hell is he getting easy access to all of them and no one else can? Oh, because you know who set it up. Someone is literally setting all this stuff up, and it's safe to say the one with the son who's involved, who the stepmother has judicial power behind the scenes. Okay, yes, they reached out to Tatum for a reason. Maureen said it implied Nolan had very little value to. Exactly. That was my impression. The vibes that were being given off specifically by Warren is that his words said one thing, but his reverence to the others meant even more, if that makes any sense. Herbert says nitpicking and speculation is all everyone is doing in this case. Absolutely. That's because that's all we have right now. That's all we can do is look at this case. They brought it to the forefront. We didn't come looking for it. We did not come looking for this case. They came out with it. Okay? And then further, they go and make interviews about this to get ahead of maybe they shouldn't have come out as public as they did. Okay? Mr. Ink says, Uncle Ruckus, I knew that this man looks black, but inside he's white. He likes white only. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. And it's unfortunate. There are a few in the community, unfortunately, that what they call sellouts, that's a serious, it's a serious reality. That some are willing to sell out their community for prosperity, allegedly. He wouldn't be the first or the last. He wouldn't be the first or the last. And I'm sorry, the integrity of that individual, I have no respect for. None whatsoever. Serene said, yeah, that first interview was like Nolan was gone for a year or two. And this so new, and the Oh God, I couldn't go over it enough to convey how I felt about that. Excuse me. Mr. Inc. says, as a subcontractor for GSA judge have a lot of weight, a lot of favors, a lot of friends. I do international contracting, so I know the connections are real. Absolutely. We didn't dream those things up. Those are real. Those are real uh, perceptions and real situations. It's just real. And we can stand here and try to dismiss it as not that big of a deal, but it is. It's real. Serene says, I was like, look at these heartless people. Herbert said, who went public? Nolansville funeral was broadcast live. Yeah, it was broadcast live 2 weeks after they came out with the story. We knew about this situation before his funeral. And I'm glad they came out with it. They didn't get the narrative that they thought they were going to get because apparently something has happened. Something has happened. We don't know exactly what or who is behind it, but based on the movements of those young men, something has happened. The grift is wealth. They Telling says the grift is wealth to podcasts and content to use blacks, but they get exposed by white supremacist groups calling Tatum a token minority. Serene said, Tatum may as well lay down when he interviews Auntie. He looks so relaxed and chilled, and I'm the man vibe. Yeah. Well, and it's funny how he conveniently has a tendency to tailor the questions, kind of tailor the questions in such a way that, they get the answer that, let me see. Adventurous You says, why are we asking commenter being watched because of our opinion? Adventurous You says, why are we asking commenter being watched because of our opinion? I'm not sure what your question means, love. Why are they looking at the people in the comments line? Is that what you mean, love? And again, if that's the case, they want everybody to shut up. Point blank, period. They want everybody to shut the fuck up. Okay. That's kind of what I thought you meant, but I wanted to be clear. Mr. Inc. says Cito is the AAA of water down there. The recording is 100% real. We heard it before anyone talked, and they are exposed, and I'm curious why no action has taken place. More than enough evidence. I agree. Which further lets us know just how power works in that little town. But guess what? Look, Ocean Springs is just Ocean Springs. But this has got eyes from all over the country. And you best believe somebody of higher power is watching this and doing their due diligence as well. Okay? Serene said, just too comfortable with his identity crisis. Real. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Serene says, we can't let them take our right to speak and talk about our issues, black or white. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I could have swore I heard there was the right of free speech. I mean, damn. But let me go ahead and start playing this interview, okay? Because this thing has been made into a real shit show, honestly, and they're building their defense publicly. By visiting Horn Island with their attorney and record the visit and cry. It appears to be so performative. Something that hasn't quite been done publicly until now. Ain't you about a month late? I mean, really, you've already been out there once. Why didn't you do all that then? I'm just asking. And then sending the footage to the media so it can be seen, and then complain that the public is scrutinizing it. Make that make sense. You know, it doesn't make sense at all. But this is a battle over public perception. And that little handful of people is not going to outweigh the rest of the country. Point blank, period. Even when you talk about all the white supremacists throughout the country, there's more of us than them. Point blank, period. There are more of us than them. And when I say us, I'm not talking about just black folks. I'm talking about people that know the difference of right and wrong and will not stand behind wrong simply because they wear a certain skin tone. Thank you, Sandra Coates, for the 2 jewels. Bless your heart. Thank you. I appreciate you. So I'm going to get started with this video. Yes, Mr. Ink said Nolan has reached all 30 countries from UAE to London, and everybody says it's bullshit. You don't excuse your language. I totally agree. Everybody is watching this. Everybody. And they're nervous. They are nervous. As they should be. Because they handled this thing wrong. And now this is the this is what happens when you handle things wrong. But in the meantime, let me go ahead and start this video for you. And of course, I'll be chiming in every now and then because I don't want to get hit with copyright, okay? So, hold on just a second, please. I'm going to make this screen as big as I can. Okay. Here we go.
You know, obviously, before this happened, I would assume you're living a regular life, young guys being in college, having a typical experience. Then you lose your friend.
I think, like, ever since it happened, my life just, like, hit like a hole. Like, even going out, we're always paranoid somebody's gonna see us, get spotted.
Look at Warren, you guys. Look at Warren. And isn't that the same shirt he wore in the first interview? Warren doesn't look well. I'm not trying to be funny. And I'm not wishing that on anybody. But Warren does not look the same. He looks more sunk in his face. His face seems like, maybe he's not eating. I don't know. But all I'm saying is in my own perception and watching him, he does not look like he did a month ago. Thank you, Serene, for the 10 jewels, sweetheart. I truly appreciate you, love. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get started back on here.
Try to beat us up potentially, or even worse.
You just met these young men more recently. And are you confident that these young men had nothing to do with it? We have Ed Pausick, Warren, Jax, and then we have Morgan here. And so I talked to Warren last time I was here. We had a really deep conversation, and I'm glad that we were able to get other perspectives now that we have Ed here. Ed is a defamation attorney. And I want to start with you, Ed. Why did you choose to work with the boys? What is your plans? What do you expect to get out of working with them? What's your expectations when it comes to defamation?
Well, I think an injustice in one place is an injustice everywhere. I hate lying. I care about the truth, but most of all, it's the actual people who are involved here. So first of all, I just want to say Tyler Cox really.
He hates lying, but he worked for Trump. Oops. I'm sorry.
They welcomed me here. My co-counsel, he's an incredible human being and he's an incredible attorney. And then after that, I had an opportunity to meet these incredible young men. And I just got to say, these guys are unbelievable. Warren, Jackson, Morgan, they're just beautiful people. They're really decent human beings. They're just great people. And, that's why I'm here, because I want to help great people. And this is a very sad situation, but it's also a very human situation. And it's a tragedy.
So you guys have, obviously before this happened, I would assume you're living a regular life, young guys being in college, having a typical experience. Then you lose your friend, Nolan. And after that, what has life been like for you guys?
Okay. Mr. Ink said, why are you all hating, claiming that these are rumors? Ceto is the triple-A of y'all water, whites only pie. I don't understand that comment, sweetheart. I really don't. I'm not sure who you're directing it to, or you're referring to. And I don't know what Ceto is. Triple-A, can you clarify, sweetheart? Because I'm just a regular person, just like everybody else. I don't know everything about this. Serene says not one word about Nolan in his first sentence, not one. Yeah, because Nolan is no longer the topic of discussion. He's secondary at this point when it comes to them. Ceto, okay. So let me look at this. Let me look at this again. Why are you all hating, claiming that these are rumors? Ceto is the triple-A, okay, of y'all water whites. Okay, I get it now. I'm not hating, claiming anything. I'm calling it out as I see it as well. But being a content creator, I have to specify that it's my opinion. Okay? I have to specify that it's my opinion and it's not an accusation. Okay? Maureen says he's given them a glowing character reference despite not really knowing them. Yes, I agree. Thank you. And thank you for your explanation of that, Mr. Ink. I appreciate it.
I think like ever since it happened, my life just like hit like a hole, like it just stopped. And I mean, we just got to live day by day from now on. I could say definitely a whole flip upside down for our lives. It's like even going out, we're always paranoid somebody's gonna see us, get spotted, try to beat us up potentially, or even worse. We're really just trying to stay low key and not go out as much or anything like that. Yeah.
Again, all we're hearing right now is what they're telling us. I don't care if there is some kind of if this is an investigation. If you're allowed to get up on a public platform and say, this is happening to me and this is happening to me, it would benefit you to at least be able to prove that these things are happening to you. That's all I'm saying. Mary by the Pool. I love that name. Mary by the Pool says, Ceto have the audio saying, Nolan, get up. It's recorded. Yes. Okay. They're just talking about them. Okay. Whites only pie, whites only pie, whites only pie. Oh, you tickle me. How he gonna say his life has just stopped? No fool, Nolan life has stopped. Yeah, again, there's so much. It just gives more substance to what most people are reading into them. Joseph said, why do they have to prove anything? Why not? Nolan's mama shouldn't have to prove nothing. Nolan's mama wants to know what happened to Nolan. And they appear to have information that could explain what happened. Okay? These young men have been caught in a lie. According to the CETO audio, it appears as though Nolan was on the boat. But the bottom line is this, just like Zigzag said, someone lost their life. Dirty Money says they don't have to prove a thing. If you think you're going to sue everybody on YouTube, you better be able to prove. You better be. See, this ain't one-sided. It's not one-sided. You don't have the luxury of pointing fingers, throwing rocks, and hiding your hand. So you better be able to stand on business when you start going after people for reacting to what you brought out there to the forefront. You have to be able to stand on business. Mary says, if you're innocent, come forward with facts that made sense. Exactly. Tammy says they got caught and anyone that supports what they did should be investigated and monitored. Okay, we're going to go ahead and play some more of this video. And let me also do one thing, before I go further with this video. Everyone is entitled to an opinion here. Let me make that clear. However, this is my house, okay? And I'm giving you the ability to speak your mind. However, I will not allow you to be disrespectful in my house. I do not want anybody disrespecting me or the people in the chat by calling them names or using profanity. That you don't have that luxury. This is not your platform. Okay? So, with that said, please do not feel like you can't give your opinion. Okay? But you will not be tolerated attacking other people in the chat or attacking me. And just because I cuss don't mean you can cuss. If you want to cuss, you open up your own platform and you can cuss to high heaven. And if you don't like my rules, hey, bounce. That's all I'm saying. Okay? Let's go.
It's been hard because my friends and I are people. I mean, we like to be out and hang out outside of our friend group, and not being able to like go certain places or, walk around in public because our head's always on a swivel. It's really affected all of us. I mean, especially in like my family's standpoint, my safety comes first. My friends and family safety come first too. And it's been really hard because I'm worried about like my family as well with me, and it's hard, but we're just going day by day and just trying to get through every day.
Can you give me some examples of what has happened? Have you guys had things happen online, threats online? Have you guys have any examples of people accosting you or anything like that?
Oh yeah, we have had countless death threats online. Been spotted. I'll let you elaborate more on that. Being spotted. I mean, people have obviously just pointed us out. I mean, as a group and even on a one-on-one setting, I think it's really just like awkward because I don't want to talk about this, and I know my friends don't want to talk about this any more than we need to. We're still mourning one of our best friends' death, and it's hard to speak about it when, like sometimes we just need some alone time, or sometimes we just need to, lay back and not be around all this. And I mean, I've been called out in public, and I haven't been in public that much. I know my friends have had encounters in public. The threats have been insane from, my stepmom and my dad, my mom, just everyone included, like even my brothers and my sisters. And it's just hard. I mean, it's unbelievable where like this has been taken to and the level where this is at.
When you say you've been called out in public, can you give me an example of like, what do you mean? People are threatening you with weapons? People are, not allowing you, denying you service? Because I heard that Trayston, he went to a corner store and they told him his money is not good there. They wouldn't even let him buy Gatorade.
Yeah.
Okay, so that analogy right there, because Tristan, what every platform refers to as the black friend, okay? Yes, he's biracial, okay? He is being raised by the white side of his family, okay? This is not being denied service at a store is not a violent hate crime. Am I correct? That is not a violent hate crime. I'm sorry. People are going to react behind how you bring yourself to the forefront. We don't know why those people denied him purchasing anything out of their store, but that was not indicative of harassment or an attack of any kind. Now, if it's racially motivated, we don't even know that. We don't know why that store owner said, "I'm not supporting you." Okay. I just thought that analogy was the best he could come up with. We're being attacked. And Tatum comes up with this thing about the store. We'll go to another store. Okay. Black folks have been denied a lot of things. Okay. Black folks for decades have been denied equal rights for decades. Not just in Mississippi, but across the country. But that is nothing close to being unalived, okay? Or the threat of unaliving. Here we go.
Yeah.
Are you experiencing things like that or something totally different?
Right. I wouldn't say like that. I think I haven't been denied, anything, but like Trayson, it's hard to hear from a good friend of mine that he's getting denied a Gatorade and a Red Bull before work and having to, like, he calls me, he's like, "Dude, you won't believe what just happened." He got called out at Walmart. Someone called him out at Walmart and was like asking him all these questions and trying to press him about it. And it's crazy to me. Like, we live in a very tight knit community, and for people to, push back and say these things when they know what Ocean Springs is like, it's really hard. And I mean, I haven't had many personal encounters, but I know being around the guys and stuff like that, they have. So,
and Ed, as an attorney that's representing these boys, I mean, what does that make you feel like? Do you feel like you got a good case here, or what's your perspective in that? Because people are online, and obviously they know who you are. Obviously they know you represent Donald Trump in some pretty high-profile cases. And so now that you've joined, or at least now you work for the young men here, you hear them say things like they've been accosted, they've been, threatened online. Does that make your case a greater case, or how do you work within what's happening to these young men?
Okay, I know that this may be off topic, but this occurred to me. The fact that none of these young men came to the funeral, okay? Just work with me here. Okay. None of these young men, for the exception of Javon, came to the funeral. He was actually a pallbearer. Okay. None of them came to the funeral because they were afraid of their well-being. They were afraid that they might get jumped or something along those lines. Let me ask you this. If you've got money, if you can raise money, if you can raise money to protect your case or whatever, or go after people or whatever, and you come from the fluent family. As a matter of fact, they're all kind of together from what I understand. The families are very, very well connected, okay? You couldn't hire security. I mean, think about it. If that's your friend and you really care or cared about your friend, wouldn't you want to be at his funeral because you really care about him and you have the means for protecting yourself in order to go down to your friend's funeral? You have the money to hire security. I just thought I'd throw that out there because it's funny. We got money to spend on other things, but the very thing that you should, in my opinion, if you were that scared to go to his funeral, you could have hired security. That's all I'm saying. Let me go ahead.
Well, unfortunately, I wish there was no case. I wish this hadn't happened. But unfortunately, because these things did happen, there is a case, and now there's multiple cases. And I'm going to tell you something. If you're out there and you lied about these guys, you lied about my guys, you lied about Tyler's guys here, if you lied about Morgan, if you lied about Jax, if you lied about Warren, we're going to get you. And you're going to be hauled into court. You're going to be held accountable. And it's going to be very painful. And what I would say to the people who have done that is now's your chance. If you want to apologize and retract before you find yourself in court, you should probably do that now. Because if you don't do that, once you're in court, now you just can't leave. You won't be able to get out of it. And we're not.
Whoa. 0147 says, what are you talking about? That's not a wealthy family. Then why were they with him? Why was he in their group? That family ain't wealthy? So what you're saying is a bunch of BS I've seen from both. Oh, you really think that's the case? Oh, okay. You don't think they got the money to protect themselves? Really? Come on, man. Come on, man. You must have choked on that when you wrote that. They ain't wealthy. You seen where they live at? Wyatt's grandfather sells memberships to CETO. Think about that. And you're probably going to say, well, what does that have to do with anything? Come on, man. They ain't wealthy. They living on the water. They own boats. I'm pretty sure the majority of the people sitting in this chat right now ain't got close to what they got.
Not going to name names because there's some other folks who are doing that, and we want to be better than that. And I want to emphasize this, right? We're not here to guess. We're not here to speculate. We're only going to deal in facts, right? And here's the most important thing, right? We don't know how Nolan Wells died. No one here is saying we know. But what we do know is Morgan, Jax, and Warren had nothing whatsoever to do with Nolan Wells' death. And that's what's important. And unfortunately, because there are people who want to divide a town and come in from the outside and tell people what to think and pit neighbor against neighbor, it compounds the tragedy. It magnifies the tragedy. And I just want to say this. Here's why it's an even bigger tragedy. Because my friends here, Morgan, Jax, and Warren, these guys are not just the finest that Ocean Springs has to offer, finest that Mississippi has to offer. These are the finest young men that America has to offer. You know, really great people. And Tyler actually taught me good Ocean Springs people. That was one of the first things I heard when I got here. So I'll just say that they're good Ocean Springs people.
Sorry to interrupt. I know you're enjoying this incredible interview. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and also join our membership program. Let's get back to the interview. And how confident are you? Because you just met these young men more recently. And are you confident that these young men had nothing to do with it?
Confidence not a strong enough word. In fact, beyond a reasonable doubt is not strong enough. There's a 0% chance that they did anything wrong. So this is not 90%. It's not 99%. It's not 99.9999. There's no decimals. There's no anything. It's 100%. 100.000%. Nothing. They did nothing wrong. And that's the problem for our opponents here, who have ruined their lives, dragged them through the mud, and attacked them. You don't get to lie. We have a First Amendment. We love our First Amendment, but you don't get to lie and hurt people. You want to lie and it doesn't hurt people? Fine. You lie and you hurt people. That's why we have defamation.
Okay, so with that said, Serene said when he got here, he don't even know them. And that's a very good point. That's a very good point. Now he's making statements that he has to take their word for it. Was he there? No, he's their attorney. He has to say those things. That's what he was hired to do. But, they're not affluent. They don't have no money. So here we go.
And that's what this is about. So I just want to emphasize this in the strongest possible terms. Zero wrongdoing. Completely innocent. Totally innocent. And categorically innocent.
And you guys have had experiences with either people threatening you online. I know that, Warren, we talked about this before, and we talked a little, or at least spoke a little bit about when you go out, you guys are getting accosted by people. Can you give us an example of, or at least tell the audience an example of an incident where you guys may have been accosted? Or what does that look like when you go out? People threaten you with weapons? Or people trying to physically harm you? Or people having to be restrained? What kind of engagement is happening when you guys go out?
We went to a restaurant, a couple of buddies of mine, and when we were, I wouldn't say threatening with weapons or anything, but I felt, and I know my friends felt, threat for our lives. I mean, I don't think there was like a fear factor, but at the same time, like it's awkward in public. Like I stated, like when we have to talk about these things, but we went to a restaurant and someone came up to me and was like, "Is this you?" And I was kind of like shaken up about it. Well, at first she asked like my name and like all these questions. And I was like, okay, whatever, she's just coming up to talk. Well, then she came up to me again and showed me our first interview.
Okay, the big RMV, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. You can go. Moderators, you got my permission to get rid of disrespectful people. I done told y'all, don't come up here disrespecting me. I've never met these people, and I've never met none of y'all. This is a conversation. This is a conversation. And I wasn't hired to defend them or condemn them. So you can get to stepping. Come on, man. If one thing hasn't happened for sure, it's brought a lot of people, questionable people out of the woodwork, hasn't it?
And was like, "Are you sure this isn't you?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, that's me, like obviously." And she kind of just, I looked at my buddy and I was like, "Yeah, we're leaving, like close everything out, like we're going." And I left, and there was an altercation after I left with some of my buddies that weren't involved in this at all. And they told my friends that they were going to kill them and they wanted to fight and all this like crazy stuff. I mean, I wasn't there, but my friends told me this, that what the people were saying to them was like totally just crazy. Like, I mean, there was people like that were, you know, outside of this telling us like, hey, you need to leave before something happens because I know what could go down right now. And like, I know that these people are crazy. So, I mean, we all felt, we were kind of shaken up about that. It was weird because it was our first encounter as a group. And I think it's also like just crazy that people will like look at you in the eye and tell you they'll kill you because they believe you killed your best friend and you have nothing to do with it.
And Morgan and Jax, were you guys there?
Yes, we were there.
I was there.
I didn't hear the part where they said they were going to kill him and stuff, but I did hear whenever she came up to him originally, she was like, hey, you have like TikTok or anything like that? Your face looks really familiar. And he was like, no, I don't have TikTok, anything like that. And she was like, oh, okay. And then walked off and then came back with, like you said, the first interview on her phone and showing him. She's like, so this isn't you. Either you have a doppelganger or this is you. And he was like, well, yeah, that's me. And then we got the check and we bounced and we were waiting outside for everybody else to get out of there. And while we're waiting outside is whenever some of our other buddies that aren't even on social media that we were just there with was getting told that other people are going to kill them and all that kind of stuff.
So how did they make you guys feel did you think they were serious? Did you think it was just people trying to make a name for themselves by confronting you in front of others? Like, what was your take on that, Morgan?
I think it was just like, I was in the general area of where one of our buddies was, where this altercation happened. And I actually got into a conversation with a fellow next to me that wasn't even involved. And he told me straight up, he was like, if I was y'all right now, I would leave before y'all get hurt. Y'all need to leave right now. I'm just watching out for y'all and making sure y'all are safe. And I mean, I wouldn't say that those people would have physically done something in that moment, but I think they were playing like almost like a mental game, like just to get into your head and just almost like make yourself like just think these things that obviously are not true.
If you can go back to the very beginning of this, how do you think this should have played out? Because I always question in my mind that when I go back, I look at what happened, I look at the initial stories with Nolan, and you guys knew him, right? I didn't know him. I know none of you guys. I just had a chance to meet you guys more recently. But how do you think this should have gone? If you could control the environment, Nolan is found deceased. How do you guys think that this should have been put out to the world?
So first off, I wish that none of this would ever happen. I wish Nolan could still be here with us today. And I wish that, like I said, none of this would ever happen. Like I wish that all this could be erased and Nolan could be here tomorrow. I mean, that's more than anything. But other than that, I feel like his mom blasting us on social media from the get-go, saying that he was out there with Warren and another guy. That's where it first started to take off. And then also the fact that she posted a picture of me and Morgan and another guy and Nolan on the boat together, blasting that out there, pushing this narrative kind of, I guess. I wish that would have never happened either. And I don't think if those would have never happened, a lot of this stuff wouldn't have been as.
Now, this part is what was offensive to me. He's your friend, but you don't even address his mother with the correct last name. That just goes to show just one small aspect of just how close they were, okay? And the fact that they're still low-key putting blame on Nolan's family for how this has come out when it was them that initially came out acting funny. They came out acting suspicious. The mother had to trace down his phone. The behavior was very telling of some kind of deceitful behavior. And then to turn around and disrespect this woman. She hasn't come out and said anything disrespectful about these young men whatsoever, other than the fact they want to know what happened to their child. Come on now. This is called throw a rock, hide your hand. You threw the rock when you brought yourself out into the forefront. And now you're hiding your hand and want to get upset at the people that saw what you were doing. Come on, man.
Viral or gone all over the country at this point. I mean, this is a countrywide news story that is just blown out of proportion. And the fact that it was our best friend and it's not what people are saying it is what hurts the most. I mean, that was our brother. I mean, straight up. That's what I told his dad the night that he came over to my house. He was like, blah, blah, saying something. I was like, dude, that was my brother. Like, and you know that. He knows that.
Okay, so this must be the young man that had the keys. Because remember, the father had to go get the keys to drive his car away. Okay. Again, let me see. How are they supposed to act? Don't forget they are innocent until proven guilty. Absolutely, they're innocent until proven guilty. But come on, have some responsibility for your actions as you're going through this process. Have responsibility for how you conduct yourself through this process. You want people to look at you as innocent, but you're not acting the way you want to be perceived. Okay, Damien says another retarded take from a black woman. Well, I tell you what, you take your cracker ass somewhere else. How about that? I told you don't come to my platform disrespecting me, so take your ass away from here, okay? Bye. I'm not tolerating the bullshit.
We were picking him up every single day. He never drove. I can't tell you how many times I pulled up in his driveway and picked him up. And it wasn't him asking. It was just because that's what we did. We just picked up Nolan all the time. That's how we, came about to all the stuff that we were going to. We'd go and pick him up. That's how much we like to be around him. We would do stuff like that all the time,
Well, first off, like I wish we would have never, like, I think about this every day. Like, I wish we would have never went out on the 4th of July because I know this wouldn't have happened. Nolan wouldn't be gone. And like, it's really hard to think about because it's like, I wish I would have done this different, or I wish I would have done that different, because now one of my brothers wouldn't have like passed away. But I think from the beginning, I'm glad that I called the Coast Guard, and I'm glad that we came together as a group, even from the first day when people started texting us things, saying, crazy things. But I wish it wouldn't have been reported as some type of race thing. I think it's really bad that like people are pushing the narrative of, oh, this is a race thing. Well, obviously it's not. I mean, this is like a brother.
Have they brought up the subject of the audio? Has anyone heard anyone speak about the audio during this interview? Can you guys explain? Damn it, Bart. Can you explain that? I mean, that's just one aspect of the audio.
To us. I mean, Nolan's no different than anyone else in our group. And I just wish this wasn't pushed on the media as, oh, this is a bunch of white guys that killed a black guy, or this is like in the beginning, it was like 4 guys went to a stranded island and dumped Nolan at the island and just left him there. Like even from the beginning, it was just like this thing and no one had facts and they were just pushing this horrible narrative, all lies about everyone. And it's sick. So I wish that would have been completely different. I'm glad I called the Coast Guard. I'm glad I made the first contact within all of this. I'm glad I was the first one that called Christine Wells that night and told her that we haven't heard from her son. And I'm glad that I did all of that, but I hate the way this has been perceived by the media and portrayed. This has like been absolutely horrible with the way and the things that they've said to us and done. But other than that, I mean, there's not much I would change from my point of view and my friend's point of view. I think we did everything right, and I know we did nothing wrong.
I think I also want to say, I think it's so criminal that they took something so anti-racist and flipped it into something super racist.
Do they know what anti-racist means? I mean, honestly, does he, by making that statement, he said by taking this anti-racist situation and flipping it into something racist, how was it initially anti-racist? I'm just curious. How was it initially anti-racist?
Like they took, this is the definition of anti-racism. I mean, that we did not look at Nolan any different than I looked at him, or even you. You know, this is literally our brother. I mean, like we stated, we did not treat him any different. We didn't treat Trayson any different. We don't treat Trayson any different. And they just flipped it. And I just think that is so wild that
they flipped it. Who flipped it? I'm trying to understand who flipped what. Who flipped what? KK Clan is super racist. If Nolan was white, none of this would happen because his little white brother is still sitting next to him talking lies. The media flipped the narrative. That's funny because the media that I saw before content creators was talking about this wasn't talking about this at all. Yeah, I'm just reading the comments, you guys. Let me go ahead and start the video. I'm reading the room. I'm just reading the room.
they're pushing this thing that they're saying, oh, they want to end racism and all this stuff. Well, they're the one pushing it. They're pushing the racism. And I just think that's kind of crazy.
Morgan, what's your thoughts on this? How does it affect you?
I mean, first I want to say, wish this would have never happened. I wish Nolan would still be here with us today. And, but in my opinion, I think that the media, they shouldn't have pushed a narrative from so early.
Okay, so I'm just going to let them talk. I'm going to let them talk because it seems the more that they talk, the more they tell on themselves. Okay? I'm just going to let them talk.
I think that they should have let the local officials do their job, let them release statements, and then, I mean, the media is obviously going to see that and then do whatever they do. But that's what I trust the local officials.
Ed, with what has transpired, you know, how does that dictate your response? Because you have a 30,000 foot view of all of this stuff, right? You see the way that it could have went, and you see that there's people that instigated the narrative that's out there now. And as a defamation attorney, how does this navigate your tactics.
Sure.
You know?
And I want to be clear about something. Tonight, I'm not going to give any particular person any more oxygen than they may have already sucked up. But I will say this. What's been said about Morgan, Jax, and Warren, I'm not going to call them untruths or half-truths or falsehoods. I'm going to call it what it is, lies. So the first thing that's really important here is we're dealing with lies and liars. We're dealing with profiteers. We're dealing with hustlers. And one thing that I've seen since I got here is that Ocean Springs, Mississippi, is a really beautiful place. And the region is very beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful places in the country. And there is just no question.
What does that have to do
The
with
death of Nolan Wells is a horrendous tragedy. But for the tragedy to then be magnified after his death for no reason other than profit is a disgrace, or what we would call a shanda. And
what? Wait a fucking, oh, I'm sorry. Wait a damn minute. Did he say what I think he said? Let me back up a little bit. Let me back up just a little bit. For this joker to come along at the 10th hour of hour 12. Come on now. The truth is profit. Is that what he's saying, Terry? Wow. Let me go back, because I want to hear exactly what he said again. Because if he's saying that if he's saying that the family is using this for profit, then this man's going straight to hell in flaming droves. In flaming droves. And he's collected a bigger bag than anybody. So I guess he's in that bag. Hold on.
the death of Nolan Wells is a horrendous tragedy. But for the tragedy to then be magnified after his death for no reason other than profit is a disgrace.
Profit for who? Are you not getting paid to defend these young men? Are you not getting paid? So does that put you in the same boat as anybody else that is, quote, in this for profit? Did nobody ask for this to happen to Nolan? Them boys probably didn't ask for this to happen to Nolan. But it happened. And the reaction happened. Their reaction happened. Everything that we're talking about stems from what happened to Nolan that we don't know, because the people that could have given some insight ain't talking. He didn't say that, not about. He didn't say that. He's just making a general statement about this being about profit. And this ain't about profit. This is it's deflection.
Or what we would call a shanda. And I had the opportunity to go to Horn Island today with Tyler and Warren and Jax. And a lot of people,
they raised that money for themselves and their defense for when the time comes, or they raised money so they can go after other people for money. So, are you talking about your clients for profit? Is that who you're talking about? Has anybody in this chat gone out and raised money about this case? Put a 1 in the chat if you have. Has anybody monetarily profited in this chat right now? I'm just asking a question, including myself. I ain't got paid a dime for talking about this, because it's not about the money. YouTube don't fucking pay that much. if at all. Excuse my French. So this ain't about profit. This is about what's right and wrong. This coming from someone who's being paid enormously. Exactly, Terry. It's about awareness. We're shedding a light on a situation that has been a problem in this country for years, decades. For decades. Drowning has become the new lynching. If they're not actually lynching people, people are being drowned. It's the new lynching. Let's not forget about the young lady that was found in Jackson, Mississippi, in the back of a vacated house that had hung there for 3 or 4 days. This is the history of Mississippi. This is the kind of shit that goes on in Mississippi. But we ain't supposed to talk about it. Absolutely self-care. Victims, victims, victims. Justice for Nolan Wells and his family. Matter of fact, justice for everybody that has been a victim of being unalived because of their race. Now, we're not necessarily saying that Nolan Wells was eliminated because of his race, but it's not that far-fetched based on the history of Mississippi and the Deep South. Far too many Black people have been unalived under mysterious circumstances, and the higher ups, the powers that be, just shuck it off like, oh, nothing to see here. They unalived themselves. They unalived themselves, or it was a tragic accident. They don't have a problem, though, when it's a Black person that has unalived a Black person. They don't mind going after that other Black person because they want to prove a point. Black people are killing each other. But you don't want to talk about the white people that are killing each other either. This is shameful. That guy says his so-called friends just want people to stop talking about it. Well, you know what? Too bad, so sad. Grow up. It ain't gonna happen. They want people to just shut up. Well, we want people to stop being unalived because of the color of their skin, allegedly. That's what we want. Remember the dead men buried behind sheriff's office in Mississippi in unmarked graves. Exactly. See, they don't want us to talk about that either. See, they luckily we're just talking about this case, because if we really decided to really just put it all out there on the table, this would be a nonstop conversation. Nonstop.
Who have been sucking up way more oxygen than they're entitled to have not been to the island. I'm willing to bet.
Who needs entitlement to suck up any oxygen? Who gave you that entitlement to even see? Again, the operative word is entitlement. Corrine put the nail on, sweetheart. You said a mouthful. They will have to answer to God at the end of the day. They will not be at peace. Peace will not be still. They're doing all kinds of stuff to that young man's mother. And her only thing is that she lost her son. She did not commit a crime. She didn't offend nobody, legally offend nobody. See, if your feathers are ruffled because this woman is demanding justice for her son, then that causes me to look at you crazy. We're not even going to get off into the what ifs, the if factor. Everybody want to claim victimhood when you done put yourself in a spotlight and mad because now you're visible. Because people that have lived in this situation for years and years, and I'm not talking about young people, I'm talking about people old as me, in our 60s, were alive during the civil rights movement. Black people being hung from trees for the sport of it. I've only heard of one white person recently that was hung, and that was a young man who was hung the same day as Trey, the one that was found hanging on Delta State University property. I haven't heard of any other white people that have been found hung. Not to say that it hasn't happened, but I certainly haven't heard about it. They're trying to cover the fact that they're trying to say that racism doesn't exist in Mississippi, and I'm sorry, this is not the way to go about it. It does exist. And you can have all kind of interviews, you can bring all kind of attorneys in there, you can threaten people left and right for talking about it, but the bottom line is this: racism is alive and well in the United States of America, especially in Mississippi. Starion said, yeah, and it's mostly from the black people though. Tell me something. Has there been any convictions of black people hanging white people? Now or in the past? I'm just curious. Throw a rock, hide your hand if you want to. Let the record show
that a lot of the hustlers and profiteers and liars have not been to that island. And you have to go to that island. And being at the island today was revelatory. It was really illuminating. It's a very dynamic marine environment, first of all. But when you go to the island, you see instantly that what some people want to be true, what they wish to be true, they're trying to wish it to be true. They're trying to make it true through their lies. It's actually not possible. It is a very, very long and narrow barrier island. It's basically very low sand dunes. And in the particular part of the island that we're dealing with, there are no trees. It's hardly any foliage, hardly any tree cover, hardly any plants, and it's wide open. And on July 4th, there were thousands of people there. There is no possible way that anybody could have committed a murder in broad daylight on a barren, windswept island that is narrow and was just swamped with people that day in broad daylight. It's just not possible given the natural environment there. And that leads me to the next point, which is this. Once you know what the timeline is, when you combine the timeline with the actual dynamics of the island itself, all of the lies completely unravel, because it isn't possible. And here's why. Morgan, Warren, and Jax left the island at about 4:30 p.m. That's it. They were gone. That is not open for debate. So that's a fact. They were gone. And at that time, Nolan Wells was still alive.
Can he please explain to us the audio, the audio on the boat? I'm just curious. Can they explain the audio? No. See, they done tiptoed around that part. Kemadou says, you do know more whites are unalived by black people in the USA than black people unalived by whites, right? That's a fact, and it isn't close either. Until I see documentation, credible documentation that upholds that statement, this is bullshit. Just bullshit. But that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. Just don't be disrespectful in my chat. And Station 13, what are y'all going to say when they find out it's just a regular drowning? Well, they should have done that from the giddy up, because they have the information. The state of Mississippi knows how Nolan died. Are we forgetting about that? They know how he died. Why are they holding on to that information? If they wanted this stuff to go away, all they have to do is come right out and say what it is. But no, they want to take their ball and go home and not play no more. This is their tantrum. Keeping those parts of the body, withholding them from the second medical examiner, was a tantrum, first of all. And those parts that were withheld would have definitively identified the truth. So we can ask the question, why doesn't Mississippi want us to know the true way that Nolan died? Maybe that's the question we should be asking.
Now, I'm not going to name them out of respect for their privacy, but just as one example, there are two very fine, upstanding members of the Ocean Springs community who saw Nolan Wells at about 10 minutes to 6 p.m. So about an hour and a half after these fine young men had left the island. They were gone, departed. Nolan Wells was alive. And these two witnesses, two very reliable, very credible, and very upstanding members of the community, they saw Nolan. And they've known Nolan for years. There's no chance that they made a mistake. And by the way, this can be corroborated through other evidence, other eyewitness accounts. And that's the end of it right there.
No, it's not the end of it.
And that's before we get into everything.
That's just your word on a platform that's not really even a credible platform. This is you doing your job for your boys here that you just met. Ironically, these two mysterious witnesses a month later come out with something like that. Give me a damn break. How convenient. How convenient.
Anything else about the situation?
And when I look at this, I feel like there's levels of defamation and areas of defamation. And I'm not going to speak on your behalf because this is y'all's story to tell, your story to litigate. But which areas are the most egregious that you are going to go after, or that you guys think also are areas where people have taken this situation and clearly lied to the public? One being the phone call. What is your thoughts on that phone call to Cito? Some people have gone out and done enhancements to the audio, and in doing that, created a transcript manually. It doesn't appear that the transcript was derived from an automated system or have any, in my opinion, real integrity with it. What are your thoughts first, you guys, on the audio, and then I'll get to you, Ed, on could that be a defamatory area the way it was produced? So what do you guys think about that audio?
My bad. I'm sorry. I was mute. Might be a good thing that I was mute, because I was cussing out Station. My bad. My bad, you guys. My bad. So it appears that this is the end of the video. I want to thank everybody that came by and hung out with me. Thank you, Serene, for the 2 additional jewels. Thank you so much. I want to thank everybody for coming by and hanging out with me, giving me your perspective. Again, I appreciate those that were very respectful in the chat. We may not agree on everything, but, you know, this is America. You're entitled to your opinion, just like we're entitled to our opinion. We're all entitled to our opinion. But like I said, please be respectful in my house. And for those that weren't respectful, I booted them out. Okay. Station came in and said something very derogatory about going back to Africa. That's why his ass is gone. Okay. And you guys fortunately didn't have to hear what I said to him before I kicked him out of here, because I tore him a new ass. You guys didn't get to hear it because I was on mute. My bad. But again, I want everybody to please put in the chat hashtag rest in peace Nolan, or RIP Nolan. We're going to keep his name in our mouths, in our hearts, until we get down to the bottom of this. I hope for the sake of these young men that they are completely innocent. Okay? So, with that said, again, thank you so much for coming by. And until we meet again, God bless you. Goodbye.
Hey there, my kinfolk, thanks for stopping by. Auntie Mickey's house, where we reach for the sky. Every comment and smile, you make my heart glow. Together we're strong, together we grow. From gossip to politics, we cover it all. Sharing laughs and thoughts, having a ball. Your support means everything that I know. Feels like family here in this sweet show. So let's keep it flowing, keep the love alive. Every moment together makes me thrive. You're more than viewers, you're lifts me up, ooh, takes flight.